All right, so in this video, I really want to talk to, new investors or maybe you want to call yourself new landlords. These are really the individuals that are maybe starting to get an inkling that, they need to own some rental properties. They see the long-term wealth building effects of owning real estate, and they sort of want to get started. So let me just jump right. And the reason I want to sort of talk to this group is, generically speaking, I think there's really only three different types of properties, or maybe it should be quality of properties. I've looked at now hundreds of thousands of different listings and properties over 15 years, and all of those I think can be bucketed into one of three different types. So I want to talk about each, and then sort of break each down and just make sure you understand and can appreciate what each type is. Again, we're going to discuss what each is, and then we're going to review each of them in detail. So why don't we go ahead and get started. So again, I'm building this really quick video around the idea that there's only three types of properties you can buy, which kind of, maybe each of you are hearing this and thinking, oh, there's single family homes and multiple families and commercials and all of that. And yeah, sure, that's a type, but that's not really where I'm going with this video. In this case, I want to talk about, probably more accurately said, the condition. Right, I think there's really only three conditions properties are in, at least that I've seen over the years. The first one, if you will, the lowest quality, frankly, the lowest priced, are those properties you see online. They're all trashed, beat up, vacant, maybe even boarded up. No one's living there. Looks like no one's lived there for a long time. And, these are often the ones that you see. When you sort by price, these are the ones that are clearly the cheapest. But I want to make sure you appreciate that that's, when you look at owning these, or you look at investing in these or buying these, that in many cases they're by far and away not the cheapest. Then there's the ones that frankly attracted me in the beginning. It's the well lived in ones. There's people there now, right? Likely tenants now or owners there now. They're out of date. I call them well lived in or well used, right? There's chipped tile, and the paint's not great, and all the rugs torn. It's just beat up, but lived in, right? So it's not quite like the other one. But the other thing you'll see in these units is rents below market, and they're probably several $100s below market. And again, these are, as you'll see in a minute, these are the ones that attracted me in the beginning, and they cause some surprises and pain. So I want you to understand what those are, and at least go in with your eyes wide open. And then there's the ones that I came to appreciate later. These are the pride of ownership, right? Everything's new, new paint, new carpet, bathrooms, kitchens, all this stuff. And then most importantly, they're leased at market, right at the top of the market, because everything is new and there's so few of them, right? So this is what I mean by the three different types, right? There's the cheap but trashed, vacant, boarded, full of surprises. There's kind of the well lived in that's trying to be advertised as rented below market, just raise rents. Again, that got me interested. Bought too many of them, and that's a fallacy, as you'll see in a minute. And then there's the ones that I appreciated later, and that's the pride of ownership. Everything's done, and it's leased at market. So let's go through each of these in general. Right, the trashed and vacant ones. These catch our eyes. I never bought one of these early. I did buy some of these during the crash because they were everywhere. But they're not particularly cheap these days, right? Real estate in the seller's market, pretty much anything sells. So these are by no means cheap, at least in my eyes today. But they catch your eyes, right? When you see when the average in your market, let's say, is 200, and you see a property for 90, you're going to look at that. Sometimes they say fix her up or remodel your way to riches, or property is empty and ready to go. Well, maybe some of that's true. The property is certainly empty because it's uninhabitable, right? It maybe doesn't even have a kitchen, or doesn't have a bath, or God knows what. Maybe the electrical's stripped. Who knows? Right? These can be full of nasty surprises. But know this: if you're going to go after these properties, don't even bother bringing it to a bank. They're not going to loan on these properties. You're going to have to pay cash. So, where if you were going to buy a clean property, you get away with 20, 30, 40% down. These are going to be 100% cash. The other thing you need to know going in is I've never seen one of these that didn't at least cost 50% of the purchase price to remodel. And again, that's more cash, right? So if it was, I think I said 90 earlier, it's 45, 50 grand additional. And, what do you got when you're done with that? Well, you just spent 150 grand and you got one rental, right? And it's probably a nice rental at that point, but that's I don't think that's many of the goals of the people that I'm trying to help. And then the other issue is the people I'm trying to help, time's the constraint. Most of you have the cash to do what I just described, at least once. But time's the problem, right? Do you really want to take all this time and risk contractors, doing this or that, and months go by and months go by and nothing and nothing and nothing, and all you've done is burn cash, right? You don't even have any rent checks coming in. That's not what the busy professionals I'm trying to help need, at least in my opinion. So I would advise for the people I'm trying to help, where time is your constraint, it's fun to look at these and think, I guess, dream, but just know that's not for you, please. Then there's these ones, the well used and outdated. I got to admit, I bought a lot of these when I was starting out, right? I was enamored by oh, look, somebody's living there. It must be in okay condition. Wrong, right? They're paying, $800 rent when it should be $1,100. I can just raise rent or maybe take rent to $1,000 instead of $1,100 and they'll stay. Wrong. It was eye-opening how often I fooled myself. I talked myself into something. I got caught in what I call the fallacy of low rents. I could just raise them. Of course everybody would stay, right? And if I can buy it low and raise rents and they stay, I make money. Well, again, that's where spreadsheets lie to you. Spreadsheets are, just mathematical calculations. They're not real world. I don't know what the odds are. It was probably 9 in 10 of the people that I did this to, they just left. Not only did they leave, but they stopped paying rent, right? They made me a victim. So I went 2 or 3 months with no rent coming in this beat up house, which I finally got them out of. Then I spent, 2 months remodeling it, spending a ton of money. And then I re-rented it or released it. So most of the time, I was 6 months in to owning this, property before I ever saw a rent check. It was stupid how often I repeated this stupid mistake, right? It's wrong most of the time. It doesn't work that way. People are people. If, they're okay paying $800 in an $1,100 market, there's a reason. They're not going to be okay paying $1,000 or $1,100 when their property is junk and it's, carpets everywhere and the toilet leaks and all these other things. It's just not going to happen, guys. Please learn from my mistakes. Again, people that are paying less rent for junk properties, and then you ask them to pay market rent, they leave. They run away fast, right? You're lucky if they leave just by packing up at night. Most of them are like, hey, I'll get 2 or 3 free months rent. I'll just fight the eviction and, I'll move when I have to. So then again, you got mortgage payments because you probably got a loan on these, right? You got some hefty repair bills coming and you got evictions to pay for, and you start to think to yourself, God, this landlording thing sucks. What am I doing? I should, I'm out. So many people might just decide to stop buying, right? They maybe just limp along with this one dog. Others will be like, oh, I'm out. I'll go try day trading or, cryptocurrencies or whatever. Don't let this happen because that was a mistake going in. You need to appreciate it and plan for these things, if you're going to go that way. Again, please don't do what I did too often. If you're going to buy these, just assume going in you're going to have at least 2 or 3 months of no rent and some hefty repair bills, right? I still think there's some that make sense, right? If you can buy them cheap enough and you can hold until you start fixing them. But again, I think time is the constraint of a lot of people I'm working with, and there are easier ways to make money. All right, so the last one, and I didn't appreciate these until very recently. Again, these are for the people I keep talking to. They go, I have some cash, I want to get started, but help. Time. I have no time, right? I've got 7 seconds on Friday and 3 minutes on Monday, and their life's just so carved up with work commitments and family commitments and whatnot. So these private ownership rentals are pretty nice because they don't have to think about them. They're already leased when they buy them, right? So they already have tenants paying market. They've already been remodeled kind of top to bottom. Financing is readily available. Turns out banks really like clean properties. Go figure. Um, there's really little time to think about it. Certainly in the beginning, maybe as the years tick by, there's more things because as people live and stuff, things break. But at least in the beginning, when time is something that's precious to you, there's very little to think about. It's kind of a low risk, kind of set it and forget it kind of thing, which is what my investors I'm speaking with are turned on by, right? That's what they're looking for. In fairness, these are the highest priced, right? Obviously, I think you pay for quality, you pay for the value from the lease. It is the lowest calculated return when you're just looking at a spreadsheet. But I got to tell you, that's not the full story, right? These calculations are the most accurate. The other two, right, the trashed properties, you have no idea how to budget those numbers and when you're going to see a return and all those things. Those ones consume the most cash. These rentals here, pride of ownership, consume the least amount of cash. Think about that, right? The least amount of time and the least amount of cash. Then there's the well used. Yeah, you can buy them. You're going to buy them pretty expensive actually in today's seller's market. But you also have all these unknown risks of how do you raise rents, time, when are they going to leave? You could be out 6 months. So again, the returns you calculate on those are not very accurate. And I would argue you're going to be cash flow negative probably the first couple of years. So these ones, while they may, generically speaking, be the lowest calculated, you can have the greatest faith in them, which is what full-time employees who have cash that want to get started should be thinking about. So in the end, is time really your constraint or not? If time is the constraint, my experience says these are the only options for you. So in the end, do me a favor, hit the like button, leave a comment or question below. Also do me a favor, if you have friends or family thinking about rentals, please share this link with them, put it on your social network. I'm happy to say we're up to 131 subscribers, so thank you very much. Again, we're trying to get to 1,000, but let's try to get to 200 first, and then we'll just keep going. All right, have a great day, and take care.